There are only 1,600 students total in the Adams Friendship School District.
It's a small community that has taken ownership over a big crisis, the mental health of their children and families. In our Time to Talk series, Danica Lewis shares how a willingness to change is changing everything in those schools.
The views out of the school bus window don't change much in Adams Friendship. But change inside the classrooms?
I've been teaching in this building 21 years. I'm pretty much done organizing furniture.
You may think Julie Wysocki is getting a little too comfortable in her surroundings.
The same classroom, the same kids, the same teacher.
When she found out she'd see the same 4th and 5th graders in September,
Posters that I want to put up.
she added some fresh faces.
This year we went to emojis.
And made some other changes.
I would love to be standing at that door when every one of them walk in and think, oh my gosh, look at our classroom. Wow, look at this.
The reaction has been as mixed as the classroom's color palette.
We need some changes so that they're not feeling rutted in the same thing as last year.
Convincing parents that redefining a desk
It'll be a change.
could be a change for the better. But change is not something Adams Friendship is afraid of.
My feelings for the community run very deep. They're friends and neighbors that I see in school, I see in the grocery store, I coach their children, I have dinner with them. It's important to me that there's change here.
When Crystal Holmes learned that 1 of every 4 students in Adams Friendship has considered suicide, that 24% of kids in her hometown thought about killing themselves,
That number would be devastating to our family.
she had to change something.
The sense is pull yourself up by your bootstraps and keep going. But when you start talking about students killing themselves, losing your child, no one can walk away from that number.
But it's hard to address those numbers when the number of grocery stores and hospitals is lacking, and the number of counselors even worse. It takes at least 45 minutes to get to the closest therapist, if they even have an opening.
Our students need that access.
On top of that, about half of Adams Friendship families receive food stamps, and 80% of the kids qualify for free and reduced lunch.
You need to have healthy students, and that means the whole student, including mental health.
Director of Pupil Services Barbara Grancy knew that meant bringing those services to the kids.
We're having the clinic come to us.
With the help of grants, the district hired on social workers to get parents through insurance paperwork. They offered private counselors gas money, knowing that they'd sacrifice a session or 2 on the drive alone.
We want to look like a promising place to come.
Last year, 63 students received mental health care, and this year, they're adding a second provider in the schools.
And I keep thinking that 63 students that didn't have access to mental health services prior.
It's such a priority that 1 of every $20 in this community's school budget is going toward mental health services. But the future of those programs, the ones changing conversations in and out of schools, hinges on grants that run out in the spring.
We got to be planning for the future, and the future is end of April for me right now.
But dollars and cents seem a little less important when you have people buying in.
They are not afraid to talk about mental health now, and they're starting to recognize what a large impact it has on students every day in their lives.
We now have teachers who will advocate for it because they can see the change in the students in their classrooms.
I miss them terribly.
Mrs. Wysocki is one of more than 400 staff members in Adams Friendship trained in mental health first aid. It's now a district requirement.
She was in tears over the fact that her students might not receive services over the summer.
Our kids need to know that we're here for them.
The thought that they could move backwards without that, it was extremely moving to see how much she cared about her students and saw the value in what we were doing.
It's building a relationship with your kids. That's the most important thing.
Change is not always so comfortable.
That's the biggest thing. You can't be afraid to talk about it.
But having the courage to come to the table, whatever chair you may choose.
All of us getting on the same page with our kids.
The view might not change so much here, but the community certainly has.
Let's make that next generation healthier for their next generations to come.
In Adams Friendship, Danica Lewis, WISC News 3.
That's great work there, and we asked other districts around our area what they're doing to support students' mental health this school year, and you can find a summary of those efforts on our Time for Kids page at channel3000.com.